News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288 WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. A lot of picks today announced for Trump. And some of them are extremely unconventional. Some of them may alarm you or please you greatly. The most controversial today, there's two. One is Pete Hegseth for SecDef, Secretary of Defense, but SecDef is how you call it short. And I love what the Politico, the leftist rag, says today. Who the F is this guy? Defense World reacts to Trump's surprise Pentagon pick. You know what that is? That's the people who control D.C., the people who control the military-industrial complex, the contractors, the lobbyists, and that's literally who they quoting here. I'll get into detail on some of the quotations. It's literally like, dude, these are the people that do the merry-go-round, going in administration, out into contractors or lobbying, and then come back out, defense contractors, and then come back in and go back out and make millions upon millions while blowing our money like it's anybody's business, all the kind of stuff that Trump is against. And so that's the machine, that's the swamp, as some people call it, and Trump is putting in people who are not like them. He is not like them. And so it literally, to me, is comical to see these fools say, who the F is he? And other people saying, oh, they nominated a TV guy. Well, he served in the military for 20 years. In the National Guard. He has seen 3 tours of duty, one at Gitmo, one in Afghanistan, and one in Iraq. Seen real combat. And he's made it his life's efforts to serve the military and to serve soldiers who have served in the military and to care for them, protect them, and everything for them. He went to Princeton, Harvard. He got 2 Bronze Stars in the process. And another combat patch, I think it was, or something of that nature. So we'll get into the details of that. But really, here, Combat Infantryman badge and a 2nd Army Commendation Medal for his service. And I'll play you a great cut where he's literally ripping apart the wokeness of the military and saying what we need to do to kill the wokeness and make it a lethal fighting force, which is what it's supposed to be, is to fire all these top generals, to fire all these woke people, to get rid of the Joint Chiefs. And so now he's in charge of that all. So the establishment goes, what the bleep? Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. That's not a surprise to anybody, and nobody seems to have a problem with that. I like him a lot. I really do like Marco Rubio a lot. Most of us do. He's come a long way since he grabbed the water bottle during his Republican response. Remember that? That was great. And then remember Trump? He mocked him on the stage. He's like, oh, and he threw the water all over the place over his shoulder. But now they're besties, and that's good. Tulsi Gabbard, or Gabbard, however you want to say it, the Director of National Intelligence. She was a Democrat. She was a Democrat congresswoman for 8 years. So that's 4 elections in a row in Hawaii. That's a big freaking deal. To win 4 congressional seats. She actually was poised to become, I think, the co-chair or something, a real high position in the DNC. But then they said, no, you know what? You don't do the way things we want to. You don't play our game. No, we're going to cut you off. And she had no home for some time, then became an independent, and now joined the GOP recently. She's the head of the DNI, which is really great. She's a veteran and an active duty Army reservist. The most controversial one today, by far, has got to be Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. I mean, I think most of us went, what the heck, right? Some of us went, yeah! You know, look, I'm fine with it, but I understand why it may be a bad choice, and I understand why he may not get confirmed by the Senate. They're talking about recess appointments, which I don't know all the technical stuff in that, but I think it makes it easier. It's less people voting. But I'm all for it, and he's going to literally – this shows you what Trump's going to do. He's going to remove all the biased, hateful people that try to destroy him by using the power of the Justice Department against him. And I'm for that, are you? I sure am. But he has a real rough road ahead of him trying to get approved by the Senate, to get confirmed by the Senate. I don't know how that'll play out. A lot of people say he was under investigation for sex trafficking by the Department of Justice, but guess what? They closed the case because there was nothing there, apparently. He's under an ethics investigation still in the Congress. So, yeah, this might be a bad choice, but also he's an attorney. He went to William and Mary Law School, which I've heard of before. It must be a good one. Probably one I couldn't have gotten into if I wanted to. It's probably a little bit of bigger of a deal than SMU, for example. What do I know? Here's my questions for you. Now that you see the kind of people he's bringing in, Trump is bringing in, do you think he'll actually drain the swamp? Will he be able to? Because it is kind of this thing where people have this false hope, right? Oh, drain the swamp, and it never happens. I think he's not playing around anymore, and I think he's picking people he's not picking career politicians for the most part at all. None. He's picking people that are going to go in and blow the thing up in a good way and change it. This was a changed election. This is a historic election and a mandate election. So now that you see the kind of people he's bringing in, do you think he'll actually drain the swamp, and will he be able to? And what major things are you expecting Trump to do now that you see the types of people he's picked for these roles? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Lines wide open. 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. We can pop you on in this segment. 800-288-WBAP. Let me play for you. First of all, I'll share the rest of the people that have been announced. Then I want to play that audio of Pete Hegseth just recently on a podcast, literally saying what we need to do to save our military from the wokeness crap, the DEI crap, the BLM garbage, the trans agenda garbage. Okay, so here's who Trump's picked so far. These are the ones that I think are worth mentioning. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Elise Stefanik. She got the presidents of Harvard and what was it? Penn, I think, fired for their covering up Jew hatred and not confronting it. She's a brilliant woman. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, a congressman from Florida who is just outstanding. Everybody says he's an amazing guy and perfect for the pick. Border czar Tom Homan, he is going to rip to shreds the illegal invasion that Biden and Kamala have done, and I'm so grateful that Tom Homan is in charge. This man was a New York City cop before he got into ICE or Border Patrol, whatever it was, and he climbed all the way up to the top. Former President Hussein Obama was the one who put him in charge of the border stuff, I think with ICE, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so he was an Obama pick. And man, is he incredible. And he loves Trump, and Trump loves him. And I think most of us love Holman. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. There could be no better choice. I love Mike. Mike loves Israel. I said he's probably been to Israel 100 times because he's a Baptist pastor. Guess what? He said last night on Fox he's been to Israel 100 times. Wow! I even impress myself sometimes. Right? Wow, huh? Okay, so
how about that?
Yes, how about that? Okay, so we also have Lee Zeldin for EPA administrator. That's great. All the horrible, nasty, over regulations for the environmental stuff to kill businesses and our economy. I got more I'll share with you in a second. Let's go to Tom in Plano. Hey, Tom, WBAP, what's up?
I think that Trump is definitely going to drain the swamp, but I think he also realizes that he has a limited time frame to do it, because if you look at every president from Clinton in 94 to his midterm to, with the exception of George W. Bush in 2002, if they had a congressional majority, they lost it after 2 years. So the way Trump is, he's going to do something that's going to irritate a lot of people. He's going to do some great things, but he's also going to alienate some people.
Yes.
And, he knows this. So while he has his mandate, he's got to strike while the iron's hot. He's got to do whatever he can in 6 months before the fishy rhinos lose their resolve and the public sentiment, the undecideds turn against him. I don't want to sound pessimistic. It's just a reality that.
I know.
he's got to do it quickly.
Remember the last 4 years, and like, he's going to drain the swamp. I'm like, no, he's not. But he's learned.
He knows now.
We all know. Yeah, we all know now. He knows. He's learned, and he was so ready for this. And the man literally is just blowing up in the news every day with all these picks. It's unprecedented. None of this happened the last time. He knows what he wants. He knows who he wants, and he's ready to go. And you're right.
Had 4 years to stew over it.
I was thinking about this, and you know what? Some analysis person said, and was re-mentioned on Fox News today, about that was a brilliant analysis, saying that having 4 years off is the best thing to prepare him for this moment. Because he has seen stuff and he has studied stuff with the knowledge he had before. And so he's going to come in massively effective and massively aware of what needs to be done. And so I think the hammer is going to come down fast and swift. And I think you're right. I think that there's going to be major game-changing things that are just going to rock everybody's world. And I think that he's going to come at it from so many directions that they're not going to be able to play the game they played with him before. And also the mainstream media has become so irrelevant. But he's going to come in so fast and so furious like he is now with these proposals, with these people. They can't target and nail. There's going to be too much happening. Boom, 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 boom. I really do feel that way. I appreciate your great call, Tom. We have two lines open. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. We're going to talk to James in Rockwall, Trey in Duncanville, plus your call at 800-288-9227. Coming up next, I'm going to give you the rest of the names of the picks, but also you're going to hear Pete Hegseth in an interview, not knowing he would be the SecDef recently. I don't know, a week or two or three ago. I don't know. And where he was interviewed by a military dude on a podcast, and he said, this is what needs to happen. To get our military back into the lethal force it needs to be and to kill the wokeness and DEI. You're going to hear that first thing coming up in 2 minutes at 8:18 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Well, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke. It's got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. And there's lots of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what, but there's an ethos change. I mean, there's a reason people don't want to serve, because they don't trust that their senior leaders are going to have their best interest in mind in combat. I know there were mistakes made on our tours all over the place, but I, at least for the most part, had a sense that my senior leaders were committed to the completion of the mission for the right reasons. And maybe there were strategic differences and all that other stuff, and it wasn't always perfect, but that trust is broken, and you have to reestablish that trust by putting in no-nonsense warfighters in those positions who aren't going to cater to the socially correct garbage.
Amen. He's the SecDef, and he will get approved whether people like it or not. Other ones I haven't mentioned yet: CIA Director John Ratcliffe, who's a North Texan, Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy. I told my son, he's like, oh my gosh, he laughed, like viscerally laughed, because he was the one who was telling me about Doge before, like a couple of years ago. That's what the young folk talk about, these different isms. And he's a big fan of Musk. He has been for years. Homeland Security Secretary Christine Noem. Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. I love Stephen Miller. Now your call. Now that you see the kind of people Trump's bringing in, do you think he'll actually drain the swamp? Will he be able to? What major things are you expecting Trump to do now that you see the types of people he's picked for in these roles? Quick thing, too. Gates, if he gets through, it's risky. He probably won't get through, to be honest with you. But, he reminded me of John Ashcroft. An attack dog, he's not going to back down. And if he does get through, he'd be great. I don't think he's going to get through, but whatever. Gates would prosecute the prosecutors and free the J6er. That's exactly what he's going to do. Trump's going to have him prosecute the prosecutors that try to put Trump in jail for political reasons. Rubio, bye-bye Hamas, bye-bye Iran, and very firm against China. And I like me some Rubio. Two lines open, 800-288-WBAP is our number. Let's go to Trey in Duncanville. Trey, what's up, WBAP?
Yes, I'm pretty much happy with all the picks Trump has made. However, I'm still interested to see who Trump's going to pick for Department of Treasury, the head of the economic counselors, also a possible opening with the Fed, and also the SEC. That will really tell us about his economic policies. Also, I'm interested to see who the House picks for the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, because that's where all tax policy initiates.
Yeah, so I agree with you, though. I think these are some great picks. You don't think Matt Gaetz is going to get through, do you?
I think it's more powerful than what most people think. I really do. I'm not guaranteeing 100%. I know he has his controversies and everything like that, but I think Trump would not have picked him if he didn't think he had a good chance.
There's a lot of, obviously we have enough Republicans in the Senate that could do it. Not right now, until after the election. After the House switches over, the Senate switches over. But even then he might have trouble. But we'll see. And if he does, good. Appreciate your call, Trey. Let's go to Shane in Royce City. Hi, welcome to WBAP, Shane.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good.
Hey, I just want to make a couple points. First off, I'm glad Cornyn lost Senate majority ballot. I really wanted Scott, but you know what? I'm just glad Cornyn didn't get it.
Yeah, because Cornyn's the worst of all of them.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to get out of our state. Senator.
I mean, I just listened to, Ted Cruz saying how Mitch McConnell didn't help him out with any of his campaign. No. And, and Cornyn was like his number 2 or 3.
Right. Yeah. And Cruz beat him by that leftist, far leftist, super liberal Colin Allred by 9 points. It was amazing. Yeah, it was a total beating. We beat him like a redhead stepchild. Used his face like a urinal cake.
Yeah, but I'd also like to say that the Senate Republicans need to understand who delivered them in the Senate. And it was Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. He totally delivered. So they need to employ what the Democrats do. They need to fall in line and get his appointments through.
I agree, and I hope they do. And there's going to be some people that are the Cornyn-like people that are going to try to fight it. But
he's going to have some saboteurs. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, they're sloppy Republicans. I mean, you could expect it. But again, they need to realize where the power came from. It came from Trump.
Right on, brother. Appreciate your call. All right, here's what we're going to do. James and Rockwall, you got 20 seconds. We'll see if you can do it, brother. Just go.
Well, my major question was about the new Senate majority leader. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen some interesting videos about him, like saying some pretty conservative things. And I just wanted your opinion on him because he's really kind of an unknown.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as I know.
Yeah, he was critical of Trump earlier on, and now they're simpatico, but he was not the person I wanted either. I think he's better than Cornyn, but a lot worse than Rick Scott. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Anyone's better at Cornyn than this point.
Oh, gosh, yeah, Cornyn's a joke. Appreciate your call, James. Thank you. Okay, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Also coming up next, Republicans take the House. So we'll keep taking your calls on Trump's picks, but also Republicans take the House. Trump visits Biden in the White House. Oh, my gosh, I have so much fun we're going to have with that. But what's the most important issue you want Trump and the Republican House and Senate to push through, and how likely are we to be disappointed once again? Or do you think it's going to somehow be different this time? That's next on the Chris Crock Show. News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number.
All the criticism of him is that he's not the expected Washington pick. And I'm just saying to you that the American people just voted against the expected Washington pick. So he's got 20 years in service, Afghanistan, Iraq, 2 Bronze Stars, Princeton, Harvard. Yeah, he's on TV, but so are the rest of us.
By the way,
I think he ought
that
to
list
be
you just gave is really interesting because you highlighted a bunch of things that the civilian leadership of the country decided on. In the military, their job was just to execute. They executed.
How did it go?
I'm just saying. How
did it go?
Oh, there it is on Fake News CNN with that panel on Pete Hegseth. Then there's Matt Gaetz, who was just picked to be the Attorney General, and listen to him go to town on the DOJ meeting with prosecutors in New York and Georgia to tell them how to take down President Trump in those state cases. Gaetz grilling the head of Justice, Merrick Garland.
You can clear it all up for us right now. Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fani Willis' office and Letitia James's office?
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
If you make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing. You come in here and you lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory, that there is coordinated lawfare against Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about.
Oh, wow. Is he great or what? Matt Gaetz picked to be the Attorney General. Will he pass the confirmation stuff? Nobody knows. Probably not. But there's a lot of things he's done that I'm like, yeah, dude, not good. But you know what? I hope he gets it. If he doesn't, so be it. The next person will get it that Trump wants. Some people said he might be doing this first to just throw it out there, and he has somebody else in mind that'll get his second pick that will be picked most likely. All right, so my questions for you is, your thoughts on the picks for these different cabinet positions from Trump, and now that you see it, do you think he'll actually be able to drain the swamp? Will he actually do that? And what are the major things you're expecting Trump to do now that you see the types of people he's picked? Secondarily, today the Republicans took the House. And I don't know what the actual numbers are because it's official. They're going to take the House. Even Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader for the House Democrats, said today the Republicans are going to do it, but that he said something to the effect in this historic red wave, it's remarkable that we were able to limit their win to a narrow majority. How much by the majority is, we don't know. They're saying maybe 220, 222, somewhere between. So we'll have probably 2 to 5, maybe a little bit more of a margin over them, which again sucks. It's just enough, right? And if you have enough milquetoast Republicans in there, you might not pass things that should pass. So we'll see how that plays out. But obviously, we wish there was a much wider margin. A 20, 30, 40 vote margin would be fantastic. Okay? So with that, too, what's the most important issue you want Trump and the Republican House and Senate to push through? The most important issue that you want Trump and the now Republican House and Senate to push through. And how likely are we to be disappointed once again? You know how we get so disappointed because there's these major proposals and they never make it through. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. And it never goes through. And we had the House, the Senate, and the presidency for 2 years, and we didn't put anything through, right? So that's where I get that. That's the impetus for me asking, how likely are we to be disappointed once again, or do you think it's going to be different this time? It seems to be disappointing so much of the time, isn't it? It seems that so many times we don't get anything through that we want. So what's the most important issue you want Trump and the Republican House and Senate to push through, and how likely are we to be disappointed once again? Or do you think it's going to be different this time? I want to see the tax cuts made permanent, if possible, the Trump tax cuts, at very least have them continue for another 10 years or whatever we can, the most amount we can do. I want to see the deregulation continuing. I want to see illegal immigration stopped. I want to see full funding. I want to see ending birthright citizenship. I want to see anything we can do to stop the invasion, and we can never let another Democrat president come in and flood this country intentionally with 16 or more million illegals. Never again. Whatever we can do to stop that, finish the border wall, is wonderful. That's what I would appreciate. There's probably some other really good things you can think about as well that would be your most important issue you want Trump and the Republican Senate and House to push through. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. The funniest AI video I've seen, like, really ever. There's no audio to it other than music, but it shows Trump and Biden at their meeting today in the White House, lamenting over lunch or dinner that, I wish we could get out of this place. And then it shows them going all over the country to the boardwalk, camping, hiking, fishing, motorcycling together. It's the funniest thing in the world. It's on my Twitter feed. You got to watch it. I think it's the last thing I tweeted out, or one of the last things I tweeted out, at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, CHRISKROK. It's a great one, man. So I wanted to also add this. Not a Dr. Jill Biden invited, of course, Melania to come at the White House and have tea with her. Melania said no. Why? Because when Nurse Jill and Joe Biden ordered their Department of Justice to raid Mar-a-Lago and go through Melania Trump's underwear drawer, that was the last straw for her. So Nurse Jill gave Trump a handwritten letter of congratulations for Melania and said, by the way, I'm keeping your underwear, the underwear that we took, I'm keeping it. It fits me so well. I love it. It makes me look so hot, even though Joe doesn't notice. That's on unconfirmed sketchy reports on that one. On Pete Hegseth, by the way, here's these mainstream leftist and the machine, the swamp. Here's some of the things they're saying today about Pete Hegseth being picked as SecDef. Who the F is this guy? Said a defense industry lobbyist. A lobbyist who can, kiss my rump for all I'm concerned. They said they hope for somebody who actually has extensive background in defense. That would be a good start. You're a freaking lobbyist, dude. We want the opposite of what you want. All right, let's go to Terry and Sherman. Hello, Terry. This is WBAP.
How you doing, Chris?
Good.
I want to see the Keystone Pipeline open back.
Yes! Yes! I forgot about that. Yes! Day one, Keystone Pipeline.
Day one, you're correct.
My gosh, dude. Because what happens is, if we get this through, and we shove this through now, it will be done before Biden or whoever not Biden, but whoever comes in next. If we lose, we'll not be able to shut it down. It will be going, and they will be killing tons of jobs. Get that passed now. Amen. Great call, Terry. Thank you. All right. We have time for one more. Or should we hold on to the next segment? Okay, no. All right, so Vicente and McKinney, you are first out of the box, plus your call. We have two lines open. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I want to give you a few more of these quotes about these machine swamp people being upset about Pete Hegseth being a SecDef because he's not going to play ball, which is very good. That's next in the Chris Kroc Show in 2 minutes at 45 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3, plus your call. Two lines open, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. John Fetterman, not mad, kind of having fun with Trump in his picks.
I mean, I would describe it as God-tier level trolling to just trigger a full-on China syndrome to own the libs in perpetuity.
There he is. He's having fun with it. He's not mad. God tier level trolling to just own the libs in perpetuity. Okay, and then listen, this is great. I retweeted both of these, all this on my Twitter feed, at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, CHRISKROK. Libs of TikTok, they put Tulsi Gabbard on a terror watch list. Now she's the director of national intelligence, the biggest FU to the deep state swamp, isn't it? But she's a beautiful woman. In this picture here, she is. And Trump is notorious for hiring beautiful, smart women. Or if you're Mark Cuban, you think they're stupid and weak women. But his woman lost. So I'll let that speak for it. Elon Musk's having so much fun with his new job. He's prolifically tweeting. I'm retweeting many of them. Okay, your thoughts on the picks for Trump, and will he actually be able to get rid of the swamp? And by the way, Republicans taking the House. Trump visits Biden White House today. Nurse Jill writing a letter saying, I'm keeping the underwear that we took from the raid, but Melania, I hope you're doing well. I know you blew me off because I stole your underwear, but that's okay, I guess, right? But what's the most important issue you want Trump and the Republican House and Senate to push through? How likely are we to be disappointed once again, or do you think it's actually going to be different this time? We're going to get some real things pushed through. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I love what one caller said. I totally forgot about this. The Keystone Pipeline, Keystone XL Pipeline, immediately start that project. It was already approved by the EPA. It was just killed because Biden and Harris want to kill our fossil fuel production. By the way, did you know that Europe just announced, the EU just announced that they're going to be importing all their LNG, liquid natural gas, from us because Trump is going to export it once again. Biden has stopped it. And that means Russia won't be getting billions of dollars from Europe anymore. For some strange reason, Biden wanted to make Putin super rich while he pretends to say he's a dictator and he's like Adolf Hitler. You stupid bleepity bleep, Joe Biden. I'm glad you're out. 800, and by the way, no one was happier today than Joe Biden and Nurse Jill. You can see the smiles on their faces. I retweeted some of the pictures. They're like so happy that with the Trumps, and you know why? Because they threw them out. And so they're like, here he is. You want him. You got him. Really, look at the pictures I retweeted. It's fantastic. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Chris Crock Show. That's at Chris Crock Show, CHRISKROK. All right, let's go to your call right now. 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP. Let's go to Vicente in McKinney. Vicente, this is WBAP. Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hello, sir.
So the thing I'd love to see passed, they talked about it during the 2016 campaign, but nothing happened after he was elected, but was the LTC reciprocity across the 50 states.
Yes, license to carry reciprocity. It's beautiful because when I travel, I love that I can go to Colorado and go through New Mexico and not have an issue while I carry. I love that I can go everywhere all the way up to when I go to see my relatives in Chicago a couple times a year, up until I get to Illinois, the communist state. Then I got to break it down, put it in my safe, and put it in the trunk of my car.
Exactly, and I don't think that should be something that's allowed, considering we're supposed to be respecting licenses of all states, so let's respect it.
I totally agree, my friend. That's a good point, too. They respect driver licenses in every state. Why wouldn't they do this? And, yeah, so you really see your freedoms when you travel into the Midwest. I mean, I have reciprocity whether I go through Arkansas and Tennessee or whether I go through, what's the other way we go? Oklahoma to Missouri. But once I cross the Illinois line, I better have my gun broken down and put in my back, otherwise they're going to nail me. Great point. I appreciate that, Vicente. Good idea.
All right.
Thank you. Phil in Salina, you are on News Talk 820 WBAP, and what do you got?
Well, if I were working for an employer and were to be found guilty of insubordination, I'm gone.
Right.
Kaput. Out the door. I'd love to see if Trump can figure out a way to find a way to purge employees of the federal government who undermine his agenda.
Yes.
Without them having months and months and years of appeals and appeals. It just sucks.
Yes.
And I think the government should behave like corporations behave.
I agree. And that's one of the things they're going to be doing is purging people. And it's real tough, though, on one thing. One thing I'll say it's real tough, because I heard today they're going to purge like all sorts of people who aren't supporters of Trump or something like that. You do have to be careful in one thing. I mean, do you think... I think all the top, absolutely. And I think also anyone who has tweeted stuff that's critical of the administration, because you can say now you're literally proving here in this you're antithetical to us. I think if you hold these positions, even if it's a mid-level or lower level, if you tweet out political stuff that's pretty nasty, I think that should be considered. You're obviously entitled to your freedom of speech. You're obviously entitled to your opinions. But if you work for the federal government and you're at a non-political position and you're attacking Trump or any of these people, whether it be Biden or Trump, I think it's fair game to say that you don't do anything political as far as overtly, because if you do, it can be held against you. Because you don't want somebody... You're entitled to vote for whoever you want to disagree with whoever you want to. But if you say things publicly about why so-and-so is bad and they're in charge of your department ultimately, that's a fireable offense in our world. So I want to make sure it's not a purity test, because that's bad. Because you can imagine every federal government employee being fired every 4 years. It's just that's Orwellian or something of that nature. You know what I mean? Like that's like Venezuela or Russia, where they fire people who aren't worshiping Putin or Kim Jong-un. But so does it make sense, though? I think if it's overt bias, they should be released.
Well, and the knife cuts both ways. Doesn't matter who the administration
it does.
is.
Yeah, it does have to be that.
Should support the administration. But getting into the weeds, if Trump wants to hire 1,000 border agents, and I am a hiring agent in the federal government, and I purposefully delay or find ways of avoiding meeting that goal,
right?
I am
fire.
Yeah.
Yep, I got to roll, but I agree with you. If you're undermining the administration, you need to be fired. If you are a vocal opponent of the administration, you should be fired. If you work in that position, you should be careful to not be vocal about your stuff. That's it. If you want to be that way, you could be fired. I think that should be the way it goes. All right, coming up next, we now have 3 or 4 major hosts, including a Fox News host, who I'll tell you about, all saying that they're being cut off, or that you should cut off your relatives if they disagree with you politically, if they voted for Trump or vice versa. This for the holiday seasons this year. I want to know how you handle this, and what kind of family problems you've had with yourself or your friends have had. That's up next on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3 at 3 minutes after the hour.